Recording started.
What's up, everybody? My name is BMaxMA, aka Brandon. Tonight is episode 16 of the Anime Dojo. We're going to go through a couple things. We're going through episode 5 of Death Mountain Death Play and episode 5, the last episode of this arc of Jujutsu Kaisen. We'll get to why that in a second. I'm alongside Chris. How you doing this evening, Chris?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you, buddy?
Doing well. Can't complain. So let's get into this first. We're going to go into the anime charts, which was actually very, very interesting. I never thought these charts would be changing so much. So the big things from this, and this is for the week of July 28th through August 4th. So we have Stray Dogs at number 1. My Happy Marriage jumped up 3 spots from 5. We also have Zom However dropping 4 spots. We have Bleach dropping 2 spots. We also have Jujutsu Kaisen dropping 2 spots. And then we also, Emergency Tensei dropped 2 spots as well. Dark Gathering gained a spot. Spy Class gained a spot. And then Undead Girl Murder Farce dropped 3 spots. And Revenge R stayed where it was at 10. So out of everything we see here, what is your biggest takeaway, Chris, from this chart?
Firstly, Zom 100.
Yes.
You notice they didn't have an episode 5, yet they went up?
Yeah. That is kind of surprising. Why did it go up if there was not episode 5?
Because the movie came out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
The Netflix special of Zom 100 released this past week. And I have to say, it was not bad.
Okay. I do need to watch that then. That's on my list.
I mean, given what they tweaked it a little bit here and there, but I approve.
Okay.
Now, because it especially now that I've seen the live action adaptation, now I feel like I feel more respect to the anime now that I haven't seen it. That makes more sense. Because now, me personally, now that I know what's coming, I actually want to see how it's going to look animated because they did a good job in the live action. So
okay, all right,
all right. Netflix.
I am kind of shocked that My Happy Marriage went up 3, but I'm also kind of shocked that Jujutsu Kaisen dropped 2. If you look at the previous week charts, Jujutsu Kaisen was at 3. And My Happy Marriage was at 5. So what made the flip-flop? And this episode was actually really good of Jujutsu Kaisen. So I'm wondering if people... I don't know. It's the old action. People want to see action. Is that something that we don't get a chance to... we didn't get a lot of action in this episode, which I won't get into here because we're going to watch the episode. But... I don't know. It seems interesting. It seems kind of surprising.
Well, when it comes to Jujutsu Kaisen, I feel like it's quite possibly a lot of people knew, especially like us, knew that it was going to go into a hiatus. So some people would rather stop watching it and wait till the next episode is going to come out so they can just continue with it. Because I know a lot of people don't want to be left with that same cliffhanger.
Okay. I'd say that the rest of this list is pretty. The rest of this list is pretty nonchalant. Doesn't really have any bearing on anything. It stacks up to where it was last week, pretty much. Spy Class went up 1. Dark Gathering went up 1. I heard Dark Gathering is pretty good. I'm actually surprised Emergency Tensei dropped 2 spots as well, because that was actually doing pretty well. And then I don't know much about Stray Dogs. I don't know if you've seen anything about Stray Dogs.
No, I haven't seen Stray Dogs, but I was waiting for Dion to come on, but since he can't make it at the moment, I have been watching Bleach.
Oh, you
I
have?
watched Bleach since episode 1. Yep,
Okay.
started it last week. Currently on. Let me look at that. Yeah, I'm a real binge watcher. Don't keep up with me if you can't do it. Brandon would know.
You do
Brandon
binge
is
watch
one of the
things.
people, one of the few that can.
You do binge watch
So
a lot.
I am currently on season 14 of Bleach.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So how many
So lots
seasons?
of binge watching.
How many seasons before that arc?
I mean,
Like.
before the 1,000 year,
Uh-huh.
there are 17.
Wow. Yeah, you have a lot to binge watch there.
But after you get past like the first few seasons, with that have like 20 some episodes, all of the newer seasons have like 12. So.
Okay, so it's actually not bad. Not bad.
Yeah.
We do know that Jujutsu Kaisen is not going to be in the charts next week. We also understand we will get episode 5 of Zom 100 this coming week, so that's going to be added to that chart. I'm going to be interested with where everything falls out. So that's going to be surprising if anything changes too drastically or not really at all. We'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing how that all pans out. But let's get into this now.
I will.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I will get back into Masamune-kun's Revenge R.
Yeah.
I did watch the first season of that, and it was interesting. A guy is trying to get revenge on the girl that he liked by making her fall in love with him. But apparently, somewhere down the line, I missed the last 2 seasons, and the one girl eventually becomes a heroine. So it's like, okay, how did that happen?
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into this now. We're going from one big anime, and like Jujutsu Kaisen, to another. The other picture I sent Chris, he called My Hero Academia is getting a movie. Sometime it's getting a movie's getting announced, and this is from Anime Quarter, which some people will get the anime charts from fans. What do you think this movie is going to be about, Chris? Because I'll be interested. Most times when they do a movie, it's not going to have. There's not much canon. Usually.
That is true. It's really now. All I know about it is what I see on the poster. So, because he has Gran Torino's head scarf or whatever he wears, since he has it on him, you know that this story does take place during or after the last seasons that we've had.
Yes.
So it just. However, when you look at his gloves, they aren't quite tattered as they are at the end of the season either. So that gives us a clue of the time period.
Do you think this is going to be a prequel? In that case, do you think so? Right before season 5.
Yeah. However, see, the only difference I believe with My Hero Academia, I like how they do their movies. None of their movies are quite canon, but that's why they end up being field trips in the movie. And in the movie they call them field trips. And which it's not exactly canon, but you can't dispute that it's not because they call them field trips. Your
Yes, yeah,
school doesn't take a field trip.
that's true. That is true. So we do have that to look forward to. I'm going to be more interested if we do something um, before season 5 or 6, where that candidate will be lying. Um, oh, so this is interesting. I went back to the Anime Charts Twitter because they have the article about it. So it's going to end up being an original story by the author that takes place in the collapse of the society. Takes place in the collapsed society, and teases the visuals. The teaser has revealed showing Deku with a solo vintage robe over his UA uniform, and All Might's in the background.
Hmm.
So if it's an original story, we definitely know it's not canon now. That kind of gives that away.
Right.
I wonder then if that means we're going to see him fight alongside All Might, and that's the way to tell that story.
Hmm.
He fights alongside All Might. He gets built up from this original story, but then season 7 will be like after season 6. So then that's just going to be like that's not going to matter anymore. This season 6 will happen, or season 7 will happen.
Right. So I think the ideas of the movie when I watched them, like, 'cause the last movie was really good actually. So
Yes, it was.
I think it really gives the idea of how strong the characters are,
Mm-hmm.
either mentally, physically, or some combination of them. I think that's what the movies really show.
Okay. Okay. Um, when do you think this will come out? Then, because season 7's in production. We
If
know
it's
season.
in production, I think. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I know. We know season 7's in production. We also know we just finished season 6 not about 6 months ago. So are we assuming season 7 is going to be late 2024, and then we get the movie earlier?
Nah, because I would think they have a different set of employees working on the movie than they do the series.
Okay. Okay.
So I would think we will see the movie sometime in maybe like November, December, and
Mm.
maybe the series in the winter 2024. That's what I'm guessing.
Okay. Okay. That would make sense. It's just interesting because I don't really think. I think the movie's going to be interesting. I think the movie's going to be fun. It's interesting you're doing an original story and it's not going to be canon to anything, but it's going to kind of have a little bit of canon. I would think enough canon things where it's going to be like, oh, this might come up in season 7. To a point. Um,
So, so
but you
I
never,
mean,
but you
that's the
never
thing
know.
about My Hero Academia's movies, though. They've always been quite random.
Yes, they have. They have been quite random. They have been quite random. So it's
Yeah.
not something.
So yeah, you already know. I'm
I
pretty sure our viewers know at this point.
correct. I'll be interested. I'm looking forward to it. We got that announcement. We got the announcement. I saw it. I think this tweet is dated. That tweet is dated for 2 days ago, actually. So it's not even Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. Um. So yeah, not shocking. I kind of figured you called it. It was a movie. Makes sense. Then, so let's get to the last thing before we watch Dead Mount Death Play. And as we're talking about this last thing, get up Dead Mount Death Play episode 5. So I'm gonna ask you this: anime has gotten a lot more prevalent. Anime has gotten a lot strong. A lot in the mainstream. I was watching the Evolution Championship Series, which is a big fighting game tournament for fans who don't really know. One of the biggest fighting game tournaments in the world. It happens in Las Vegas every year. It shows off the top fighting game players for all different types of fighting games, like your Guilty Gears, like your Strives, or like your Guilty Gears, like your Dragon Ball Z's, like Street Fighter, like Mortal Kombat. I can go on and on. The reason I bring this up, so Sony owns Crunchyroll. Sony also owns the Evolution Championship Series. They bought the series outright. They are the sole. They're the ones that do all the marketing for it, and the ones that own the series. But they also produce. They don't actually run the tournaments or anything, but they are the sole like owners of it. But throughout the weekend, I saw so many Crunchyroll ads throughout the weekend, just randomly while I was watching tournaments, during breaks and stuff, of just like showing Jujutsu Kaisen, showing like Attack on Titan at a couple points, so many different things. My question to you, Chris, is what do you think about having anime and other mediums? When I said this wrong in text, but like other mediums like other TV shows, other movies. I've seen it in wrestling. They've mentioned it a couple times just because a commentator said, "Oh, one of the wrestlers is a huge anime fan, and she's also in Street Fighter. She's one of the voices of Street Fighter." But she's like, "Oh, it's not that like this Jujutsu Kaisen thing or Demon Slayer." He mentions at one point. What do you think about that crossover? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Or is it just kind of like, is it necessary? Because certain fans won't know what it is.
I mean, okay, let me. Okay. First of all, thank you for this question because it really is a loaded question.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I do got a lot of questions on this.
Here's the thing. As an anime fan, there are certain places I wouldn't mind seeing anime references, anime, because we forget, anime is a whole genre style of its own.
Yes, it is.
But with that being said, America is the melting pot of all cultures.
Yes, it is. You're right about that.
So, I do believe it can be done. But, and so would I like to see it in other mediums? Yes. But it's like, I don't want to go to Popeyes and they got an animated chicken in there. Like, come on, y'all. Like, for real? Like, I almost like, I don't want to see the entire American culture be submerged in anime. Let me put it that way.
Okay. I think
if you're asking me, I'm sorry. So if you're asking me, I was gonna say like I like what I like what old boy Michael B. Jordan is doing in what he did in Creed 3. He took anime references and he put them into a real movie, but they were so subtle that most audience members just was like in awe of it. But any anime fan would have been like, "Wait a minute, that looks familiar." You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Things like
yeah.
that.
I think that would be cool, but I also think. I think the thing I just noticed I think for when they did it for the Evo Championships on Twitch, it was kind of just like it felt like it was overdoing it at points. And sometimes like every couple commercials I would notice it. And then Drew, one of our good friends, his cousin, by the way, mentioned while we were watching Street Fighter, he's like, well, there's a little bit of crossover there. I'm like, yeah, there is. But the crossover is kind of small. In the sense that like Dragon Ball is probably the closest to the crossover because Dragon Ball is also an anime. They make a Dragon Ball fighting game. Cool. That crossover works. And he mentions that don't Street Fighter have a new movie coming out or a new like show? I'm like, I think so, but that's still in the works. It is coming out down the road, but it's not something in the immediate future. it's interesting because I think if you're a fan of fighting games, you probably know a little bit about anime based on certain things. But if you're not really a fan of anime, but you're just there for the fighting game stuff, it can be kind of invasive at points. Sorry about that, everybody. We just kind of quick little bit of a break, nothing too crazy, but like I implore people to go back and watch the Evo Championships for that point, and you can see what I was talking about in the sense of you have a little bit of a back and forth sense of uh, like you see certain things pop up pretty quickly, but also you have the understanding of what's going on, and it wasn't like too egregious. It was just kind of like an ad for Crunchyroll showing off the top animes right now and things that people are into. So, nevertheless, it's not too bonkers, but it's kind of crazy to think that hey, um, they're actually showing it off. Which I agree with Chris. I think yes, should you put the references and stuff? Absolutely, but should they just be kind of subtle? Be subtle. Be something that people think are cool, but for anime fans be like, oh, that popped up. Um, but ultimately, it's more or less a thing of how you handle that situation, how you handle that for other fans. I will say it wasn't too crazy because they also showed off the Gran Turismo was sponsored too, which the Gran Turismo movie is going to be really interesting, really fun, based on a true story. That true story is going to be more or less about something, about a kid who's in video games, who raced on the video game, but got a seat in a supercar and started driving in the supercar racing and everything, and had to learn. So it actually ended up working out in that favor, but I'm not too sure how much that crossover is going to be. Because even that's a crossover. You play the games, hey, cool. You'll understand what's going on. You don't play the games, but you know of a little of racing.
But that's what I'm saying.
You get that.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, like let's take, um, okay, like take Record of Ragnarok, the show on Netflix. I don't know if anybody else is watching. It's a good show. So I like how they have taken historical figures and mythological figures of different cultures on both sides, and put them in rounds to see how they compete with each other.
Yep.
Now, see if you do that same that same vision and put it with games, videos, and trying to add anime into the American culture like that, then yes, that would be yes. I definitely approve of that. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I can see that. I think it goes back to the thing we talked about last week is the fact like we're seeing Jujutsu Kaisen characters in Fortnite. Well, Jujutsu Kaisen is a really big show right now, but kind of weird they're in Fortnite when none of the characters use guns in the show. It feels kind of off, but it fits what Fortnite is. Fortnite's a shooter, so it ends up you have the skins of the characters. Same thing when they put Cardi B and Snoop Dogg in Call of Duty. They're skins of the people that people will know. It's funny.
Exactly.
I think if you do the marketing, if you do the commercials and stuff well, it'll get over. So showing Jujutsu Kaisen during Evo on Grand Final Sunday, absolutely. Showing a trailer for that, okay. I'm a person. They showed a couple little fight scenes and things. that looks hype. I might go look at it. But if
Now,
you're not,
honestly,
go ahead.
what would be really, really neat, like, um, like I don't know why more TV companies haven't figured this out yet. You should use more anime shows to display your TVs when you are selling them. Animes have some of the most beautiful and more deepest colors that you'll see on any TV.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Pay me for my thoughts.
I, I,
That's gonna be my new slogan. Pay me for my thoughts.
I will say it isn't. I do a lot of deep questions, and people know I think about the questions I want to open with, and that it was just a thought in my brain because I'm thinking there's good ways to do it. There's also weird ways to do it, and I think at Evo it's a good way to do it, but it's also kind of odd because I think nobody has the same. The crossover for that is very small, but the crossover is still there. But I think, like you say, I think TV and a couple other things can do it and make it subtle. Michael, like you said, Michael B. Jordan made it subtle in Creed. There's some subtle references in even other movies that we've seen. So it's like even when they do it in wrestling with the subtle like commentary thing, I'm like, okay, cool, that's subtle, but I like the thing. So it's like I'm cool with that, and even if it makes it feel like that they're trying to put it over. As a person who enjoys it themselves, the wrestler or the person that enjoys it, they put it over for themselves. Um, but let me know y'all thoughts. Let me know what y'all think in my Twitter, in the comments of the video. Let me know what y'all think about that. It's an answer question. I want to see how people actually, from watching a trailer or something, did you get an anime from that? But we are going to get into Jujutsu Kaisen, or we're going to get into Dead Mount Death Play episode 5. I didn't watch this prior, but based on what I remember, we are still at the hideout, and we just met Lemmings. Lemmings is now in the hideout. Everybody's trying to scatter. We don't know what's going on. Am I kind of spot on, Chris?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will give 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Chris, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Dead Mountain Death Play, episode 5, The Monster. Well, she brings a good point. If he wanted to do anything, he would have done it right away.
All right. Instead of just standing there.
What?
Mm.
Okay. Nope. Okay. Have you seen what this dude can do? Like,
at you, bro. Keeping your peace is the one thing in the world that a lot of people don't.
Yep.
Whew. Some people take for granted. Yeah.
What? Okay. All right. All right. I know where y'all going, but
Completely sentimental.
mm,
You can't help to do the right thing, basically.
yeah.
Hey, this is one of those shows where I feel like you really have to look at the world from his perspective.
Correct.
Like, he's a bad guy, but that doesn't make him a bad guy.
No.
Because, I mean, he's willing to do bad things for the right reason, which is,
Correct.
yeah, I mean, what they say, chaotic good? Do, 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 do.
What the? Okay, don't turn your light on. That's what Chris was trying to avoid. What the? How's he dodging all that?
Well, they did say they pushed him beyond the limits of human
Yeah.
capabilities.
What? Wait. Why is she talking to him like that?
We don't know. Nope, he's human.
Did she just knock him? Whoa. All right.
Now, see, if you saw some stuff like that
I'd be running out the building.
in a club building, I'd be asking Elon, bro, I need the next shift out of here.
I need the next plane to.
Yeah, I'm going to Wakanda. Yeah.
Wait. The boy. Wait, so it's another criminal organization?
That's what it looks like.
Okay, we're just gonna have a bunch of criminal organizations going after each other? And cops?
That's usually how it works. Okay, this is where you're losing. Come on. This is probably where I found it kind of thought it was corny.
Okay, that
Like
what?
I understand the sentimental value. I understand the sentimental value of this scene, but it's still kind of corny.
I'll explain it after we finish watching because I think there's a point, but the point's kind of lost. All right. Okay.
I mean, is it really fake or is it really real?
I don't know.
Wait a minute. So he's in a pen, right?
Yeah.
What happens when the pen runs out of ink?
I'm guessing it would never run out because of the it's imbued with his essence.
No, but if you're living in this reality, a pen runs out of ink.
Yes, it does. That's a ghost. What the? All right.
Wow.
Want to be scam people?
I mean, they probably are, but if they get the answers that they want and they're 100% accurate, like he said, well, because he already has money.
Well, he was right.
Yep.
Okay. Duh.
If that's not creepy as I don't as I'll get out.
That's too creepy.
I mean, from the red image to the background image, it's creepy.
So this dude's loaded.
Assets in the trillions.
If you, so why was he out? Why did he run away?
He didn't. He died. Remember?
Oh, so you took over a dead man's body.
So that must be Faruka then.
Uh, okay. Let's get into this. What? So this episode starts out with us seeing the battle between Lemmings and everybody else. Lemmings kind of goes nuts for a bit. Tries to take the girl, doesn't get the girl. Pokey has to save her twice. Then Pokey's like, you know what, Lemmings? I'll tell you what's going on. I'll give you the reason why things are kind of going haywire, which he does. Which he does. She gives him a reason. We don't know what she exactly says to him, but then she goes, I'm gonna stab you with a fork." She stabs him with a fork in the hip, and things kind of go from there. Lemmings runs off. First of all, what do you think about this opening? Because it leaves us off where we started from the previous episode, and it's like it's like nothing changed.
I mean, where to start with it? It's a lot to unpack because, I mean, within that scene, it's a lot happening.
Yes,
You
there
know,
was a lot.
like so you come across somebody who can move from move like they're from somebody from your other world.
Yes.
So he's a bit off put. That's the first thing. Second thing is that he's kidnapping your friend
Yep.
or somebody you want to call your friend now.
Yep.
So there's your dilemma. So of course he's gonna save his friend, but at the same time, the friend isn't completely helpless either.
Nope.
So basically, the dude was at a disadvantage from the start, really.
Correct. But then we have the cops. The cops try to attack the dude, and I love the one cop, black-haired cop, goes, "I got you." So he has this like broken bottle and puts it through his stomach. Does absolutely nothing. The bottle just breaks. Then they try handcuffs. They tried everything. I'm like, at this point, this dude is too strong. But Pokey figures it out that he has ghost energy that he can use. Okay, cool. He has ghost energy. So now we know why he's strong as he is. So then the battle happens. Lemmings leaves. The place is disheveled. And then they go, next time I need to bring. The blonde hair dude goes, I need a weapon next time I'm here. Because I should not be here unarmed. And then I love Clarice. Clarice just goes, oh, this is not a smoking area, by the way. And they're like, wait, what? Wait, why? Did you just see what just happened?
Right.
And they're just kind of
Like
confused. Like,
hey,
it
man,
was
you could
kind
have had me the same way. Like,
of,
really?
it was kind of like, okay, fair enough. So then the girl and Pokey are walking back, and he thanks Pokey, or Pokey thanks the girl for helping him and saving him. Then he explains why he wants a peaceful world. What is his purpose all about? Now, I'll let you explain this part because you said this kind of jumps the shark, and I'll let you explain before I'll take my side what I think about this. But so he explains, you know, I come from a different world, but I also want to have peace. I also, at the same time, with having peace, I don't, I'm not, I want to learn about this world more. I want to know why this world the way it is. Can you help me? And they say yes, but he also says, they're also like, how are you going to do a peaceful world? You don't have anything to, you know, do with that or make money or all that kind of stuff. But then we cut to Lemmings talking to this dude. We don't know who the dude is. We know it's another organization, and the organization's like, he tells the Lemmings dude tells the guy in the organization something, and he points out the picture of Pokey, and then we cut back to the hideout. So, what was the part that kind of jumped the shark for you here? You said you kind of didn't like this part, Chris. What was it about? What was it?
But
What is it about this part that you didn't like? What about this part you didn't like?
it's not that I didn't like it. It was just kind of soppy. Like you could have set that tone. You could have set that scene to any other tone. You could have made him sound more serious. You could have made him sound like he was deep in thought. But instead, you make him turn towards them and talk to them like it's all a sentimental move. Like, dude, you have no idea how dirty this world actually is. But the creators that created this show actually is, and obviously he is not an innocent person by any means.
No, he's
So
not.
therefore, it's just like a sloppy scene. Like, come on, y'all, really?
I will agree. It is kind of like somber. It's supposed to be kind of somber, kind of like giving him sympathy, but it doesn't. It only works in this way. The fact of the matter that he's gotten beaten once before, and he could have got beaten there. But having said that, I do agree that I think he I think the creators could have done something different with that and make it make sense. So he could have been more serious. He could have been more helpful. However you want to do that. I do feel like it is jumping the shark because he's like you said at the beginning of the episode, he's a bad person, but he doesn't do bad things. He has to do bad things to do good things. So you know the character is bad, but yet you know he's doing bad things for the right reasons. So you can still make him serious and still ask for help. To be fair,
Exactly.
that should be what it is. So then we cut to them trying to brainstorm how to make money. And he's like, so how we can make money? How can we do things we're doing? So then he enchants this pen, and the pen just starts writing on its own. They're kind of like, this pen can start. Where'd you make the? And it's funny they said, how did you make the pen just start doing that? And it's funny because the shark toy is also sentient. So it's like that should be not surprising. So then they finally come up with, oh, we could do. He wanted to do something that has to deal with like magic. He's gonna open like a magic shop or something, and they were like, well, let's make it more streamlined. And the pen goes, let's do fortune telling. And they're like, ooh, okay. So then we cut to they made a little fortune teller little base in their hideout. You see Pokey, and you see the girl. Pokey's sitting at the table with a crystal ball, all that kind of stuff. And you see the girl behind him just kind of looking, just being herself. I do the fact when they did this shot. I don't know if they did this on purpose. Did you notice how they did the shot where he's sitting down and she's behind her, and all you see is her, basically her right below her chin to her chest? I'm like, did they do that on purpose, or was that just accidental? Because it was like, I was like, is that accidental? Because it's how the shots cropped. It's just like
it was no, because they could have again dressed her in any other way. So
any other way. So it's not.
that
It's not.
was on purpose.
It was on purpose. I was like, okay, that's on purpose because you've already done this twice with her. This is the third time. So then they start doing fortunes.
But I mean, I liked it though.
Oh yeah, I did. Oh, I love the scene. I think the thing about the scene I loved, it's like, so like he told that one dude, your leg's kind of hurt. Is something wrong? And the guy's like, how'd you know that? I have a thing with my leg right now. And then he tells that one lady, I think it's a lady, oh, your husband is upset. Your dead husband, by the way. And like he's talking to the spirit. I'm like, okay, how are we gonna cool? What do you think about this like section of scene? Because this shows how they're using his power to make money.
But see, to me, that's probably one of the best scenes in the whole show because, or at least in this episode, because it was the most cleverest way of using his magic, I guess.
Correct.
Or his powers in the most discreet way. Like you go into what everybody already knows is commonly fake, but if you're actually using, real stuff and actually answering people's questions that is not fake, well then I respected Hustle then. So yeah.
Fortune telling has always kind of been weird to me because I understand the premise. I do get why it's a thing, but it's also kind of like, would I ever do it? No. But is it something people would absolutely do? Absolutely. So fortune telling, palm reading, tarot cards, all that kind of stuff makes sense. So it actually works out in his favor because that's a thing in the real world. That's a thing already. He can just take advantage of that using his magic. So then we cut back to the hideaway. They're talking about, hey, we made this money. I want to split it 5 ways with y'all because y'all helped me out. And the tech dude goes, if you know do you know how much money Pokey has? And he's like, he doesn't say it out loud. He's thinking it. I'm like, what's he talking about with that? And we don't know anything yet. So it's kind of confusing. So then they're like, okay, we can split up. We can kind of revamp things. So we do. The whole time they're having the pen's writing things down dialogue wise. That's not serving the plot. It just kind of is there for filler. So you don't really need to focus on it. It's just something there for them to have. So then he gives the money to Pokey, the tech dude does. But then the door slams open randomly. And you're like, why did the door slam open? Oh, there's about 3 bodyguards and 2 little kids. And the 2 little kids go, wait, you're Pokey. You're our uncle. Uncle? What are you talking about? I am not your uncle. And the whole time, Pokey's like, I just want a peaceful life. Why am I getting bothered? So then Pokey kind of, talks to them. Oh, we just want to be at your, we just want to get your fortune told right in front by you. And I love the way they do these kids. These kids are bratty and kind of also like entitled. What do you think about this scene right here when we first meet the kids? And I'll explain the ending.
But usually when you get 2 little kids busting in there like they own the place, first thing I normally think of is where your parents at.
That's true. That is true. That is probably one of the first things you would think of. But I
But I
love that
mean,
you're.
but it was good though, because it was a nice introduction to him though. Like, okay, so in the way that the tech guy, he labels him was spot on. So yeah.
Yeah, it was very spot on. So then the girl gets out this, I'm guessing towel or whatever you want to call it, and puts it on the sofa. Which I'm like, wait, what do you think? The sofa's dirty? What the what are you doing? Didn't explain it. Didn't care, but keeps that they're entitled, they're bougie, all that kind of stuff. And she goes, well, you're not. I I thought you're the best fortune teller around, so I thought I'd come by and get my palm read. They're like, we're closed. And the tech dude goes, we're closed. Well, if you but I need some and she says peasants about 5 times in a span of like 2 minutes. She says peasants about 5 times span in 2 minutes. And tech dude finally goes and she goes, what are you gonna I am very powerful. I can do a lot of things. It's like, what are you gonna do about it? And tech dude goes, I can call the cops. I can also say you're trespassing.
Yeah.
I can also he goes down a list of things. It was like, all right then, okay, I like you now. I like the tech dude because he's like he knows what's going on,
Mhm.
and so
Right.
she's like, I don't want any trouble, and you're not going to win this argument. I don't want to have this argument. But then his bodyguards are like, I don't like they seem kind of off. They're kind of weary. Then Pokey out of nowhere, Pokey stands up and hugs both of them out of the blue. And then they show this creepy looking figure as he's hugging them. That's like red with the blue background. This is one of the creepiest things I think I've seen so far on the show, and yet it's a manifestation of their burden, basically their monkey on the shoulder kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
it was
It was
so
good.
good. It was so good. And then they leave, and the tech dude goes, "If you knew here, so why were they asking about the place and all this?" He says, "You're from a rich family that's worth trillions. You're technically dead, but your father was alive. You've he's alive. He's 79 years old. You're stinking rich, and they did not great things to you." For basically what he goes at. But now you're gonna go there tomorrow and walk in the door without any protection. And he's like, "Well, I need to make. Can we use the undead?" And the girl goes, "Can we use the undead army?" And she's like, "Well, the army's for combat, not for that. What about using magic in the open?" He's like, "You should be doing that." So then they make it like a skeleton to put some clothes on and things. They look great, but then they turn to her. They're like, "Wait, she's a zombie. We could use her." Kind of like one of those moments, like,
Yep.
"Wait, she's a monster. We can use her. Cool." Then they cut back.
Exactly.
They cut to this car, and this car has this. This is their car, so they're cutting back to the car. They open the car door. It's the dude from the office. So what about Pokey? How is he? And he's like, he's doing well. I had you scout him out because I don't trust him. And the boy goes, he's going to be at the house tomorrow. Good, I get to meet him. And then, and the guy goes, you might just want to watch your backs. And they show the same figure in the background again, just the same red figure that's just creeping over them like a necklace around their neck that they can't take off. It was amazing. Before I let Chris talk,
Man,
get up Jujutsu Kaisen episode 5 as we finish this up. Chris, what are your thoughts about this last third of the episode, basically, where they do all these things with the kids, Pokey, everybody?
so the revelation of this episode is quite remarkable. And you see it become full circle. So you basically see who's really manipulating everything, and the fact that he's the one that draws this evilness around these kids, and that's putting that icky on their shoulder or whatever we want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that okay, this dude is evil incarnate right now. But yet you're trying to go after somebody who is a different evil in an entirely different realm.
Yep.
So the question is how are these two going to collide?
That's
where we're at.
Here's my thing. They've done a very good job of doing. You have three criminal groups. You have the cops, who are kind of cops, but also kind of criminal group themselves. You have Lemmings, who's working for the guy that the guy found out about the boy, but you also have Carice and her organization. Eventually, all three are going to collide, and we don't know what's going to end up. And the funny part is, like you say with the through line for this, through line was the man from The Office. He asked Lemmings what was going on. Lemmings like the boy. He hired the two twin siblings to go find out about him. He's like, so what'd you find out? And he asked them, oh, is Pokey doing well? He said yes. The little boy said yes, but he'll come by the house. I have a hunch now that we see him at the house next episode. For some weird reason, he has a connection to the family. What's that connection? I don't even know. But I'm really intrigued now because they did a very good job of just making him the through line for the story. Because we don't see much of Carice, we don't see much of the police after the first half of the story. Everything.
Nope.
Everything is lied on the guy in the office after Lemmings tells him something. That's it. And the kids. But the kids are the basic through line for the guy in the office. That's good storytelling. That's very good storytelling. And I can't say enough about that.
Yes, it is.
So I'm going to have to ask you, Chris, what would you give this episode of Dead Mount Deathplay, episode 5, The Monster?
I was going to give this episode a solid 7.5.
Ooh, okay. Explain.
Bro, the Soppy scene, bro, you really just took this character all out of context. In my opinion, you really took the character all out of context.
Okay, yeah. I would have to go 8, and I do agree with you. I think making him sympathetic and feeling like he needs help is kind of weird after what we've seen him do in the first couple episodes. We've seen him do some crazy things. We've seen Pokey do some crazy things. He has pretty much saved kids. He's pretty much fought off bad guys. He's pretty much turned a girl into a zombie where she can bite people. And she's excited about that. Now he's a fortune teller that can make a bunch of money. The man's smart. He's learned. I do understand. I do get that he's still trying to become peaceful and he doesn't understand everything about this world. But no world is sunshine and rainbows. There's gonna be problems, and I think that's what you brought up earlier. This world is that the world they made for this isekai is corrupt. There's no there's no perfect peace. There's no peace much anymore.
Not at all.
But well, I'm looking forward to see episode 6. I'm looking forward to where this is going. Speaking of Dead Mountain Death Play, by the way, I'm going to bring this up now because I think we're going to keep ranking the series. We looked up some anime things for the next season anime, the fall anime season. They're bringing back Dead Mountain Death Play season 2. So we're going to continue this, ladies and gentlemen. I want to put that out there because we're going to be. This is a series that we both enjoyed. I'm actually kind of shocked that bring it back, but I'm guessing it did well enough to make a season 2. All right then. So we know we have a horror and we have a kind of horror anime going into the fall. We're gonna have 2 basically at this point. But now let's get into Jujutsu Kaisen episode 5, Premature Death. The hits keep on coming. We go from the beginning of this arc where we had a couple happy-go-lucky things, very nice, very. They're trying to do their mission. They're going to do this mission to help this girl. Then episode 3 is like, we're gonna shatter your dreams. We're sorry. We're just gonna kill the girl off, and everything's gonna go down and down the dumps. And then episode 4, we get the revenge from Gojo. Gojo wakes up from being half dead, and he goes, "You're done. You're done doing what you did." And now Gojo's in a place where you can't figure out, does he continue helping people or does he just kill off everybody? This episode is very interesting. There's a flip of a switch in this episode. You'll see it pretty quickly. It's done with one line from a character. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Nope. I'm not starting.
You need to wait like a good, I think you need to just wait maybe like a good 2 minutes.
Okay.
So, maybe go take a restroom break or maybe grab a snack and, just wait. Maybe we can wait a good 2 minutes.
I will bring this.
But I do want to.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go. I was going to say, I will say, I do feel like now what you mentioned, Chris, they have made this up. This is supposed to be a movie. Watching this episode the first time, this has felt like a movie. Because you can tell where they break up, where the scene start. This episode starts, you're like, oh wait, this is pretty much from the last episode. And I know that's why they can't do any movies because movies aren't canon. But yeah, this should have been a movie.
So, what I was gonna say is that I'm watching Bleach right now. So, and I see a lot of comparisons from Jujutsu Kaisen going into Bleach.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, so with that being said, this one's really like I see a lot of similarities between the storylines of the two.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. I keep asking myself how would it be putting switching the heroes around in the world of, and how would that work?
Ladies and gentlemen, before we watch this episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, Mr. Dion, how you doing this evening? You caught us at a very good time.
Man, I almost didn't make it.
Well,
it sounds like y'all were in a very intense conversation.
We had just finished Dead Mountain Death Play episode 5. Did you watch episode 5 Death Mountain Death Play yet?
I have.
Before we go
I
on
have. That is a.
Jujutsu Kaisen, what you think about the episode?
Whew. It was a little bit more well-rounded of an episode than we've been getting before. I thought you get more into the story. It's just like before we got a lot of character building, but this one you kind of get into the story a little bit. It actually starts to make things unfold.
Okay. Chris has one big gripe with the episode. The middle of the episode where Pokey gets saved. After they have the bar fight and everything, they're heading back to their base. And Pokey kind of pours his heart out. Do you think that part of the episode's too sappy? Or too kind of like somber for Pokey? Because Pokey is a serious kind of character prior.
I think it's kind of trying to make that relatability, like, oh, he's not a real bad guy. He's really trying to be the good guy of this story. He's got a lot to offer versus what we've seen before, which is more stoic.
Okay.
I guess as far as how sappy it is, I can see that, but we've been getting blood and punched in the face since the beginning, so it's all right to have a little bit of that opposite end of the spectrum going on with that.
I mean, that's cool and all, but just how you broke away from it so quickly, and then it's like, dude, I understand you're trying to let them feel that you're their friend and you really want to use your powers for the good of the world that you're living in. But dude, you are not, just because you sound this bright and playful,
I mean, but in I think it's the second or third episode where they get to talking about the little kids, the background of where the corpse guy comes from, and how he's really just trying to be with family, and it already gives like that. Like they're trying to get that sympathy vote,
Yeah. I will agree with that. They have set it up in a way that you can believe the sympathy because he talks about his previous life. So it is there for a reason. And they do it in this episode too. They do it in episode 5, where they do talk about his teacher, his mentor, so he has a reason for everything he's done so far. And even I think the tech dude even says, he's like, why do you care about those kids so much? And you see Pokey look out the window, and it's a flashback. He goes, and he just he thinks about all the kids he's been around and had to help, and he's just like, I kind of care. There's no real, I care about children. I think he says I care about children, but it's like, okay, so you do care about, you have a reason to care. So it is there. I do agree with Chris. I do agree with Chris though. If you don't know that from the beginning, it feels kind of off. It feels like it doesn't work. Because the first episodes do it, but it doesn't. It's not pushing your face. It's kind of subtle. This episode pushes it in your face, and it sits there for a little bit longer than normal.
Yeah, and next week it'll be almost worth. It'll be worth watching next week.
Yeah,
because I feel like it's giving you this much of a dynamic to go into much more of a dynamic.
Yes. So the story is picking. The story is picking up. They're finally building that story now, basically. Well, I will say you have good timing, my friend. You have very good timing, Dion. We were about to start JDK. We were about to start JDK until Chris stopped me, and I actually do not blame him.
Oh,
I do not blame him for that. So I give Chris that credit. Ladies and gentlemen,
I appreciate it.
we're going into an episode that ultimately did two things to me. Broke my heart for one character, but also made me smile for another. And here's the thing. I have to give JJK credit because they did that perfectly. And yet, I wish we weren't on a 3-week break. Because I would need the next episode of the next arc right now. This coming Thursday. But I'll give them credit. They are taking a 3-week break. The first episode the next arc is gonna be perfect. Gonna be great, so I'm not worried. But I'm gonna also mention this. In this episode, they do two things. And it's a through line. It's not a through line, but it is showing something later. So look out for these two things in the middle of the episode, at the end. That's all I'm gonna give you. But I do hope you have Jujutsu Kaisen episode 5, episode 28, season 2 up. I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Ready.
20. You said episode 28?
29. Sorry, I hate the numbering in this. 29. That's the other thing. I would say we just do like one, but fine.
Yeah, premature death.
Yes. So 3, 2, 1. Let's go. And I'll reiterate one other thing. There's one line that turns this whole episode around like that. And it's around also in the middle of the episode as well.
Can't wait to see what you mean.
I'm on the edge of my seat now.
Still one of the best anime opening songs I like. I like the animation for this too. Like the animation fits the song. Come on now.
I will say there's more action in the intro than there was in the first episode.
Yeah, but that's the point. Like the intro is supposed to be hype. It kind of makes that they kind of keep you hooked in.
Yeah.
Episode 29, Premature Death. So that 1 year later is 1 year after the death of the girl. I think what they're trying to say. I think that's what they're getting at. But Dion, you can see how powerful he's gotten because now he can do red, blue. The only thing left, he said, I need domain expansion and teleportation.
He took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say, in just a year, he has mastered what he couldn't do before.
Yes.
And he did it quickly. A year is a short time to master something too.
Oh yeah, he mastered purple and
Man,
blue, red, and yeah. No, that's a hard thing to do in a year. Most people wouldn't do that fast.
here we go with this taste again.
He keeps thinking about what happened that day. It's like melting his, it's pretty much destroying his brain or soul. I say brain.
Well, he keeps thinking about it.
But eventually, it wouldn't be your
That's
fault.
nothing. It's hard not to take the blame when you feel like you should have done something more.
What more could he have done? He was at the precipice.
True.
Dion, what is that? Who's that character that he's taught? Who's the character, the short haired character? Is he in the first season?
No.
Okay, so it's a okay. It's a
Because
it's a totally different. It's a totally just random character. Okay, I was making sure.
yeah, he's kind of important right now, but yeah, he doesn't have anything to do with the first season.
Okay.
Nope.
And look at Suguri's face. He's disheveled. He has bags under his eyes. He looks bad.
Hasn't been sleeping.
Yeah. I like girls a lot. That was a funny line. That was kind of funny.
And the enthusiasm he said it with.
Yeah.
Be proud of what you like.
So this is where you need to listen to the conversation. This conversation gets very deep, and there's one line that she says that changes what he thinks about everything. So pay attention.
Hmm.
Dang, that was a cold answer.
The premise of this whole person.
Very cold answer.
You may not be crazy enough.
But he is.
I love the fact the more and more he's talking, right before he started talking, it started raining. And it gets heavier and heavier and heavier, but it sounds like clapping.
And then they cleared up. At Crossroads.
Mm.
Oh, that's the boy. Forgot. I have totally forgot about this part.
He feels guilty.
Mm-hmm. By the way, does anybody recognize those two girls in that cell?
No.
Those are the same girls from I think it's the end of season 1 or the movie where they're with Gojo when they try to attack the school.
I think that's the movie.
Yeah, it is the movie. That's right. It is the movie.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm actually kind of surprised they referenced the movie with that. I'm like, oh, it's a movie reference. Shocking.
So that makes the movie canon now.
Yes, it does. That makes the movie canon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that is Gojo reading that thing or warrant. And he's pissed.
Mm.
Ooh.
I thought this was very weird. He just openly said, "I did it."
But he did. But he has no. He has no remorse for what he did.
No, none. And then she just called somebody on the
He's
phone.
doing the right thing.
No, I don't want to get killed.
She's not gonna find him. Great call. Mm. Mm.
Ooh.
That was a very defining moment.
Yes, it
Very.
was.
Mm. There they go.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder why they're like, I would do anything for him.
Correct.
Right.
Remember me. I'm asleep. And we're catching up.
All right.
Wow.
Yes. So Dion, me and Chris have been doing
So
something
you,
with these episodes, with these last couple
uh,
episodes. There's a lot to unpack, so I'm not going to unpack everything. I'll give you three big things from this episode, ladies and gentlemen. And here's the first one. The first one is we get it right off the bat. We see Siguri keep remembering what's happened in the past year. He feels terrible what happened. He feels like he was to blame for what's her name dying. And he can't get out of the head what he saw at the end of the last episode where everybody's just clapping and just blankly staring. But then we get to the conversation with the lady. The conversation with the lady is the thing I mentioned to keep up with. She says one thing in the middle of that conversation, and she says, I tried two ways to get rid of curse energy. First, you kill all non-sorcerers, or you turn everybody into jujutsu sorcerers. I tried the first one. That didn't really work. The first one's kind of not going to work out. The second one might be more possible. But then you see Gojo's eyes light up because he's like, wait, if I can kill all non-sorcerers, I can cleanse the world. And that's where you see the turn. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you both this. What did you think about that conversation? Because that conversation just sets things in motion, and you can tell that Gojo's like just ready to be done with all this. And I'll start off with Dion.
The way Subaru is already a broody character, that moment almost perfectly defines the switch.
Yes,
It
it
was all
does.
nice and dry. It started raining and getting dark and gloomy as he goes into that montage. And it almost makes sense for him to become who he is now. And we see that from the moment he goes, not necessarily from that moment, it was a little bit further on when he's talking to them. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a point to it. And he's like, it's even, a great call. And when you look at that moment, you can, when his lights flicker, you see that he's feeling just about doing this, and that it's like, okay, it's the only way I can get rid of this. Nobody else understands what I'm going through. Nobody else gets me. No one else can, feel. They don't know the taste of curses. And I don't want them to. I don't want what happened in the past to happen again. But how do I prevent that? You know what? They won't feel the pain if they're not alive. So
Yeah.
it's like a common sense. It's like an uncommon common sense, basically. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's true, but you also unaliving them.
Right.
So, Chris, this first part going along with with this conversation, what you think about it? Because I thought it was creepy when I first saw it, and I thought it was also very it hit home because he basically made it sound she basically made it sound like there's a way to fix this. All you need to do is this one thing.
I mean, so when you look at this short season as a whole, you realize he's saying the same thing that he has been talking about the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
He's been at the same crossroads the entire show. So, and then he finally has somebody who's quote unquote on the same level as he is, and gives him and tells him straight up, "This is where you're at." But on top of it, but I don't think she knew the ramifications of the
Same.
backstory that everything that she's telling him is having on his young mind. Because I mean, at this time, he's still impressionable as a young man. So you have an older woman telling you something who's quote unquote quote, giving you knowledge, but not really telling you how to use this knowledge.
Correct.
So
So
so here we have. Well, yeah, I'm not. That's the next part.
so then we go from that conversation to seeing Gojo go back to go back to this like lab area. I think we've seen this lab area before in the scene. And the guy he was talking to before he talked to the girl passes away on a mission, which is pretty natural. You're gonna, you don't survive your mission, you have to give up your life. They talked about that in season 1. The big thing with that is, then you can tell he's a sentient to madness because he's just like, I can't watch another person pass away. I need to do something. So then he goes on this mission. This mission was to get rid of these 2 young girls because the villagers thought they had a bunch of cursed energy, which was true. But what does Gojo do? He thinks about it. He kind of like, should I do this? Should I not? He still hears the clapping in his head. He still hears everything going wrong. By the way, they intercutted this perfectly. You have Gojo at the village, but then you have Geto at the village, but you have Gojo reading the sentence letter, the sentence thing about him being sentenced to death. Then what does Geto do? Geto's like, you know what? I'm just gonna wipe out the village, and he just gets so angry where he just destroys everybody in the village. Everybody in the village saves the girls and leaves. And then the middle. So this is all the middle part. Gojo finds out. Gojo's mad. Why? Why would he do this? What's the purpose of him doing this? He doesn't know. Teacher tells him he just he killed everybody in the village, plus his own parents, plus everything else. The next scene we see after they talk is the doctor lady from season 1. That's the older lady, the doctor. She's on this. She finds Geto and says, "Is all this true? Did you do this?" And he says, "Yeah, I did." Why? And I think she asked why, but he kind of says nothing. But then she pulls out her phone, calls Gojo, and Gojo goes, "Why are you with him? He's like, basically Gojo goes, do you want to die?" And she's like, "I don't want to get killed. What are you saying?" So I'm gonna leave it there. What y'all think about this section? Because this section does a very good job of what that girl told him to acting on that, what she said. And she acted on it. He acted on it with no hesitation. That transition was amazing. So I'm gonna start off with Chris this time. Chris, what do you think about that section?
So in this section, he's basically letting his closest friend. I really did it. You know, this is the kind of person I want to be. If you got any questions, if you gonna try to find it, I'm gonna do it. Basically, going around and just basically seeing where everybody's headed. You can't blame him for that. But at the same time, when he goes to talk to his friend, I mean, he looking at him like, "Oh, you really you got some stones. You just walking out here like you ain't living. You already know you on the hit list, so you know what I'm saying."
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he already knew and she already knew who they was gonna send after him. So it was like you knew what was coming up next. Basically.
Yeah. So Dion, what do you think of this section? Because I thought this section was powerful, going from that conversation into what we got in the middle half of this episode, and yet Geto's gone mad.
This entire arc has been, and as I think about it, this entire arc has been leading up to this moment of Cyril. This is his arc. This is his turning arc. So when he starts to reminisce on what happens from the beginning of this, you start to feel like, all right, he may feel bad. He's feeling guilt. But then after that conversation and you get to this middle part, you realize it's hatred. It's not, he's looking at this now from, I hate non-sorcerers. Like, you caused all this. And you pick that up from when he's talking to the lady and she's like, she asks him straight up, like, do you hate all non-sorcerers? And from that conversation to pretty much going and killing every non-sorcerer in your hometown, including your parents, kind of gives us the answer to that question. And when he's talking to Gojo, you hear that, like I brought up before, you hear that justification in his voice, like no remorse. And, you know, it's not a hatred for humanity in itself, because he's sitting there having a full, cool conversation with Shako, the doctor lady. He's just like, whatever. He could have killed her instantly if he wanted to. He could have attacked Gojo. Of course, I'm not gonna say he could have killed Gojo, but he could have attacked Gojo. But instead, he knew that Gojo had these feelings for him, and I can only assume that they're reciprocal, that they're, like best friends. So he's sitting
So
there like, why did you do this? Mhm.
I was gonna say I'll let you continue. I'm gonna finish off the back half of this now. So
Yeah.
the back half of this is twofold. The back half of this starts out with Gojo asking his teacher, "What do I need to go do?" You have to go get him. You have to go destroy him. There's no other way. But then at the same time, Gojo's like, I don't really want to do it, but I have to. Okay, cool. Then from that scene, after we see her talk to the medical girl, you see Geto go back to the star group that wanted the girl in the first place to worship her. And he even says, I thought this group got disbanded. No, there's still an underground version of the group we still use. By the way, did anybody else notice that the guy he was talking to was the former helper of Toji Risato? Because that's the same dude. So that was a similar thing. So then Geto,
Hmm.
I think it's the same. It looks like the same dude or close to the same dude, but I think it's pretty based on the like animate like the picture of him. It looks like the same dude. So then we get Geto patting the girls on the head, saying everything's gonna be all right. We're gonna be fine. By the way, this makes the movie canon now because those girls are from the movie. Those girls back him up in the movie and fight for him. So that is actually surprising. They made that
Yep.
canon. Made that canon. Then Gojo gets on stage and like kind of wax lyrical. To say these like weird things to get money and get prestige. But he acts like a televangelist, except he doesn't really want your money. He wants your money, but he also will do anything to get your money. So he calls one of them on stage and just like pretty much destroys them. Kills them, no problem. We don't know if it's a he or she. I think it is. I think they do say he. Um, and then he says monkey. Then he kills another one. And he says monkey again. Then we cut from that whole situation. So after we see Gojo try to fight him, everything at the beginning of this last attack arc, we come from getting in this cult, being the leader of this cult now, and Geto then uh, then Gojo goes see a very young Megami. Like the Megami is only like 10 years old, not even that maybe.
He's a first grader.
Yeah, he's super young. So Megami's super young. Gojo tells Megami, I've seen your dad. You look, and you're going to be going to this family. This family's not that great, all this stuff. So he's talking about the Zato clan, the Zenin clan. And all the while, Megami's having none of it. Megami doesn't care. Megami doesn't care about his dad, any of that. But the line that Gojo goes, I want you to become strong. Become stronger than me. And Gojo just smiled at him, and then Megami walks off. So then we cut to 2018, and you see Gojo in that chair we've seen him in the intro. They're trying to wake him up. They wake him up. The girl from season 1 gets in the chair. Our other main character is trying to get in the chair. They're arguing. But then Megami asks Gojo, why are you smiling? And he doesn't really give an answer. He just kind of smirks and doesn't say anything to Megami. And that's how the episode ends. From the point we get to see Gojo try to go and kill Geto to the end of the episode where we see him mentoring these next sorcerers. What y'all think about that? And I'll start off with Dion. What you think about that last section, because it makes everything full circle now.
It honestly angers me. If I'm being honest. I'm
Fun.
so ticked off at how good and well rounded this was.
Oh, yeah.
Like they couldn't have done it any smoother. I mean, I'm sure there's hindsight is 2020. You know, I'm sure there's always something they could have done better. But it was like a perfect roundabout way to get us back to where we left off. Like, and my interpretation of this is like this entire arc was Dojo just remembering what happened. Like he's just sitting there dreaming about what's going on or what was going on. I'm like, that's a cool little twist on it.
Okay.
Putting everything back into, that's just me being fickle. I have no idea if that's really what they were intended.
But that makes sense. If it was him sleeping and he's just like, we're just seeing him dream about this stuff, that makes total sense. Because it actually could make sense. He might be thinking about the past, same way Ghetto was. Chris, what do you think about the back half of this episode? Yeah.
Okay, so just to give, I guess, just to recap and give my final conclusions, it's basically so Escatus and Gojo gets hit his reality. Like, you have the power that I would have, that I want right now, but I can't have it. Mm-hmm. At the same time, he prevents him from using it because he makes his point. Using it completes his point.
Yes.
Now, fast forward it, and he's talking to his teacher, and he needs he's teaching to his teacher at this point. So he's basically looking for some reinforcements, like he might make sure he's doing it. So that's where you see the reinforcement that even Dojo still gets, even now as a teacher in his prison. And just like you say, they bring it back full circle towards the end. And man, and finally when he's back in with his students, like now you're getting ready to go into one of the most deadliest arcs, and what they're getting ready to call it, probably the most deadliest arc in all of anime.
We are about to head to Shibuya arc, which is, like Chris said, is one of the deadliest arcs in probably anime. I look forward to that. I will say this. You've had a through line from the beginning of this episode, beginning of the season, till now. And that through line was Ghetto. Ghetto was the through line for all this, so was Gojo. But this episode, you completed both those arcs and gave us a hint of the future with Megami. And then you end up showing us Megami in 2018 and how that changed everything. Like, this was amazing. This was so, so good. I'm going to ask these two gentlemen this before we end the stream this evening. Gentlemen, what would you give this episode? But also, what would you give this arc? And Dion, I'll start with you.
The episode, for what it was, I'll give it a 9.9.
Okay.
The season, the entire arc, I'm gonna have to give it like maybe a 9.0.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah.
I don't want you to explain. I don't want you to explain the episode. Explain the arc. Why 9.0 for the arc?
You know what? I do want to go up on that a little bit. Maybe a 9.5. Okay. And the reason is, if I'm correct about Gojo sleeping and dreaming about this, then all my gripes about not seeing the fight scenes, not being privy to a bunch of information, it makes more sense because Dojo didn't know about a lot of that stuff. Like when the girl got kidnapped, we didn't see her get kidnapped till the very end where you see Geto and Gojo together and they're talking about it.
Okay.
You know, Gojo wasn't there for her. That.
Yeah.
You know, so now it's starting to kind of make a little bit more sense to me. You know, and everything else you can hear about, someone told him about. So it makes a lot more sense. So the way it was mapped out from beginning to end, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the journey. Everything wasn't perfect, but the journey that they led me down was very enjoyable, and that's why they get a higher rank.
Okay. So Chris, Dion gives the episode a 9.9. He gives this arc a 9.5. What would you give the episode, and then what would you give the arc? Explain why you give the arc the number you're gonna give it.
All right. So I will give the episode a 9.1.
Okay.
And then I will give the arc a 9.8.
Ooh, okay, you're a little bit higher than Dion. Explain.
Okay, so check it out. This episode really set the tone for the drastic change for let's just be honest. This season is a villain arc.
This is. It is a
Let's just
villain.
be honest. It's always a villain arc. At the same time, when you look at it from his point of view, that the best way to save everybody is to kill everybody.
Which is also
Yeah,
insane.
I don't think he's really thought deeper. Yeah, I don't think he thought any deeper on that. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, that's why the episode gets a 9.1. But because for the season being the villain arc as a whole, that's why I give it a 8. Because they really did set the tone for him.
Okay. So the episode, I agree with Chris. I think the episode's about a 9.5. But this arc, for me, it's a perfect 10. And only because, like Chris said, this is a villain arc through and through. And it's funny, the beginning of these first two episodes of this arc was two friends going on a mission to get this girl to simulate with this thing so it doesn't explode and grow into something worse. Then from episode 3 on, it turns dark. Girl dies, Geto gets mad, he fights. He tries to fight off Zenin. Gojo's pissed, everybody's upset. Episode 4, Geto still has some things that he wants to try to figure out. Gojo gets the girl. He wants to destroy everybody, but Geto stops him. But Geto feels like they should have when they had the chance. In episode 5, we see him just disheveled, broken down. Looks like he hasn't slept for days. Look at he ate nothing. He even says at the beginning of this episode, he goes, exercise, absorb, repeat. Exercise, absorb, repeat. He has done the same thing for multiple years. So this man has seen some things. But then at the end of this episode, you get us a heel turn and a face turn in one episode. Geto goes heel and Gojo goes face. And Gojo's like, now I need to protect everybody. He goes see Megami, a young Megami, and says, get stronger, kid. Get stronger than me. And then we go full circle 2018 and Megami's like, so why are you smiling so big? Because I've seen you get. I'm guessing he's seen him he's gotten stronger. That's pretty really good storytelling. And I'm like Dion, if it's a dream, I'm okay with the fact we didn't see all the fights. I'm okay with the fact you didn't show us all that stuff because you didn't have to. You could say it's all in his mind. He's just remembering things. But like Dion said, he can't remember everything. He doesn't remember everything that's happened between that time period. He only have things he heard of. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we end this stream, I'm going to mention this. We have as of this week, it'll be week 1 of the 3-week break. August 31st, mark that down in your calendars. We start the Shibuya arc of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is 17 episodes. But in the meantime, for us, we're gonna finish. We're gonna get to some episodes of Dead Mount Death Play. We might do 2 episodes for next week since we have the time. And we might do 2 episodes the week after that. But keep on this journey with us. We're looking forward to what JK does next. And I'm looking forward to what Dead Mount Death Play does next for us. If you haven't watched JJK, I implore you to go do that. It is worth your time. It is a very good series. And it does a lot of fun things. And it makes you think. I do thank Chris and Dion for joining me. This was episode 16 of the Anime Dojo. You can, like I said, if you can hit me up on Twitter at BLMcQuinton24. You can hit me up on the YouTube channel in the comments. Whatever you want to do, talk about this episode. We'll be back next week. I do thank you for watching. I do thank you for listening. I hope you did enjoy. I hope to hear from next time. See ya.
Later, guys.